Mayor live from Palm Beach, California. Once again, because of the mayor's race in New York that we're going to be talking about a fair amount of time, and the races in Virginia and in particular New Jersey, which has tightened up now to a statistical tie.
Right.
I'd love to see this one become that. We'll talk about all three of them because the one in Virginia, although a little harder and a little more difficult, is down to single digits for governor, largely getting driven by the terrible candidate for attorney general who had the fantasies about killing or seeing his opponent killed and his opponent's children killed, or one of his political opponents killed. But the one in New York is the one, of course, getting the most attention. I would say largely because of how absurd, crazy, insane, and ridiculous the candidate of the Democrat Party for mayor is, and frightening to most all loyal Americans, because he isn't. He isn't a loyal American. He's got two allegiances that are way beyond his allegiance to the United States of America. One of it is to socialism and communism. When you look at the man's positions, he doesn't have a single position that would suggest that he has a slightest bit of respect or understanding for the United States Constitution, for what the United States stands for. After all, you're not just an American because you say you are. And you're not an American because of your background. You're an American because of what you believe. It was among others, Abraham Lincoln, who said when they were trying to figure out who the best American was, some young guy that had just been made a citizen by Lincoln said, "How could I ever be a better American than the people who came over on the Mayflower?" And Lincoln said, "That's easy. Just believe in the principles of America more. Hold them in your heart and fight for them more, and you'll be a better American, because we're not a country made up of one ethnicity, one religion, one background. We're a country made up of one set of values. That is our civic religion. And what are our values? Our values are the values that are laid out by Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence and by our founding fathers in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And those are things that we swear allegiance to. And that's what holds us together, and our traditions and our heroes and our background and our great history that we're so proud of, and also proud of the mistakes that we've overcome. Embarrassed or guilty that we did them, but then again, like Jesus teaches us, we're all sinners. The real question is, can we repent? And there's no country that's repented more or changed more. Whoever, I don't know, find me the country where 300, 400,000 white men laid down their lives so black men could be free. Or hundreds of thousands more Americans laid down their lives so Europeans could be free. Of course we did terrible things. We're human. Just because you're American doesn't mean you're good. But we've got more good than bad, and more good than any other country that ever existed. And we contribute, and we're one of the few countries that contributed to the rest of the world. So,
well, Mayor,
we have this American hater running for mayor as a communist, but then he's also an Islamic extremist. I mean, he is. We know that the Islamic religion is divided into two parts: the violent part and the non-violent part. And he is aligned, it appears to be 100% with the violent part, the part that wants to destroy us. I mean, that would account for his hatred of the Jewish people. That would account for his association with the imam the other day, who was was a unindicted co-conspirator in the first bombing on the World Trade Center, was laudatory of the people who destroyed us on September 11, blamed September 11 on us and Israel, and is a very big supporter of the Hamas terrorist group that wants to kill Jews and Americans. And he has described him, Andami has, as one of the great imams in America. He isn't one of the great imams in America. He's one of the most evil men in America. I said evil, not bad, not alternative philosophy. I said evil. So, Ted, let's talk practical politics. We had on the other show, and too bad he couldn't stay over, Tony Carbonetti. You know, I called him up when I realized he was married in that little thing you see over there. No, if that little thing you see over there, that's so little. That's the a very, very famous boathouse, which is in Central Park, right on that beautiful lake that you see there. And that, you know, this is fall, and on a good day, that's what it looks like. And Tony was married in the fall. He was married on a day in which Andrew kicked a field goal to win a game.
Right. Well, Mayor, we have new polling. This is the latest polling. What I think you'll find interesting is the head-to-head surveys when they narrow it down to
I will, but I do find the three-way survey one that we got to pay a lot of attention to, because we may, no matter what we wish or try, or we may be headed to that.
Right. As of now, it does appear that way. So what we have here from Victory Polling, this is the latest.
Do we know who they are? I mean,
we're doing some. I'm trying, you know, as we do this, it's just the mayor and I were trying to do some background.
I know there was one you were critical of because you thought it was a little bit too pro Cuomo.
Well, like all these, we have to be careful, including this one. That's right. And I wasn't sure, and I'm not sure, right? I say that because I wonder if the AARP would be more supportive.
Well, none of them are going to be pro Sliwa, I can tell you.
Right. Unless it's an internal poll coming out from the Sliwa campaign, which we haven't seen. This one has Mamdani with a commanding lead.
Right near the magic number.
In a three-way race, Cuomo 29, Sliwa 16. What's interesting, and this is where we really want to find out who's behind this poll, in a head-to-head, and I want to get your reaction here. It has Cuomo and Mamdani up 10. And we got to see the raw numbers. I'm going to look for those here in a minute. Sliwa and Mamdani up 8. So Sliwa in this poll has closed the gap with Mamdani. A margin of 10. Cuomo versus Mamdani. A margin of 8.
Go back to that.
Okay.
We got to get the right interpretation there. Does that mean that if it were Cuomo and Mamdani, and Cuomo is up 10, it would be 47-39 as opposed to 47-24 with Sliwa?
No, what this means is that Mamdani leads Cuomo by 10 points in a head-to-head.
Are you sure?
Yes. Mamdani leads Sliwa by 8 points in a head-to-head. What we want to get are the raw percentages.
Oh, okay. Because
what this poll is showing is Curtis performing better than Cuomo in a head-to-head. Of course, as I've always said, and I got to be consistent here. Of course, I've Curtis Sliwa, I've been very supportive of him, and as of now, the mayor's obviously.
I'm very supportive.
Yeah. Not as of now. You are supportive of Curtis.
Yeah, 100% and completely. I am extraordinarily worried, not necessarily just about Cuomo, not just necessarily about Curtis, about Cuomo and Curtis. The most important thing is, and the most dangerous thing about this poll is, if this poll is right, this is pretty close to over. If this were a two-way race, and the lead candidate was at 47. And the number 2 candidate was at 44 or 45. This would be a hell of a race. 47 is a relative number. 47 can be a great number or a bad number. In a two-way race, if the other guy is getting most of the rest of the vote, 47 is a little dangerous. In fact, very, very often in a close race like that, like if they were 47-44, I'm just almost speaking generically now. Very, very often, the guy at 44 is going to win because They've already had their time. Usually the one ahead, they've thought about more, and this is as far as they can go. And there's more room to go a little further with the number two person. Here's the problem. In a three-way race, it's over. Because he doesn't have to get to 50. If every remaining vote went to Sliwa or Cuomo, Mondani wins.
Right.
Right? I mean, if there's only 7% left, right?
Right.
So if Cuomo got all of them, because he's in that breakdown, he's the leading candidate, right?
Yes.
So he would have a 38% of the vote, and the other guy would win 47 to 38.
Yes.
Mondani doesn't need it, according to the poll, based on the present situation, with Mondani being number one and Cuomo number two, and Sliwa number three. Mondani does not need a single additional vote. All of the undecideds can go to Cuomo or Sliwa, or combination of both, and he wins. But let's say they all go to the number two candidate, he still wins by 9%.
Right. So
no matter how you cut it, and even the fact that, so then if you interpret it the way you did, and it becomes 8-point race with Sliwa, right?
Right.
Let's assume that we don't know what the 8-point. Let's assume he stays at 47. Mondani does, right?
Right.
And Sliwa comes up to, would you say 8 points?
Yep.
So Sliwa would be at 39 then, right?
Yep. And we're gonna have I'm gonna have the full numbers here in just a minute.
So Sliwa would be at 39. And we got 2 weeks to go and no more debates.
Yep.
That's still a long way to go.
Right. And I'm gonna have something up in a second.
Now, there's another question raised by an excellent article, and I'm surprised it only raised once, which is, how accurate are these? How accurate are these polls? What do you say? What do you say, expert? How accurate are these polls?
So not very accurate, right, Mayor? I feel they're not very accurate. What they can be is a snapshot at the time.
Yeah.
But is it
even a fair snapshot?
Right. That's where there's so many questions, and you know this as someone who
I know this
for
as
years
someone,
at presidential.
okay.
Every level.
I have never had a poll that was accurate, except maybe when I won in a landslide.
Right.
And then you don't pay too much of attention.
Right.
But I'm talking about the races I was in, or the races I campaigned very strongly, like the Trump races.
Yes.
None of those polls were accurate. Even the second one, where he actually did. Even if we say the impossible and the stupid, and we're required to say that Biden won, he didn't win by what he was polled as to win.
Right.
He won very narrowly.
Right.
He won after 12 days of extra counting.
Remember that Iowa poll that came out just before the election that had Kamala up on Trump, and nobody, even a lot of Democrats, didn't believe it. And
yeah, somebody paid for that poll.
Right. And so that should tell you everything you know about polling. However, as you know, right, campaigns will use anything they can get to get a measurement, right? Any sort of read, if they feel that it's at least not totally false, they'll use it, right? A lot of times internal polling can be more.
Well, the accepted
accurate.
wisdom is Mondani is ahead by a good lead, Cuomo is second, and Curtis is third. And the accepted wisdom is that Cuomo would benefit much more from a Curtis supporting him than the other way around. Now, all that could be wrong.
Here's a closer look. So what you see here, this is the victory polling that we just got.
It's the same poll.
It's the same poll with the actual numbers in a head-to-head. Mamdani versus Cuomo head-to-head, 48-38, 12 points. Look at those decimals there. Mamdani versus Sliwa head-to-head, 48-40, with 10% undecided. So either way,
what's that 48.9?
That's what Mamdani gets in a Sliwa. If it's Mamdani versus Sliwa head-to-head. Mamdani gets 48.9.
That's weird. Mondami's vote goes up teeny bit
but not much.
but then Sliwa goes up by 2%, and 2% get added to
Sliwa goes up big time, right? Let's go back to the other one. So this shows all three in the race.
Well,
Sliwa's
Sliwa
at 16. Now Sliwa's at 16. You take Cuomo out, Sliwa jumps up to 40. Meanwhile, Cuomo, 29%.
right.
Take out Sliwa, Cuomo gains 9 to 10%, gets up to 38.5%. And Mayor, if we really think about this, to me, it kind of makes sense, right? Where I think a lot of people, we've heard this for weeks, months. I like Sliwa, but he can't win. If he's able to even shift that opinion a little bit, right? That tells you that there's a lot more votes up for grabs for Sliwa, where Cuomo's has a ceiling. People know him. They like him when they don't.
I think that's always been true. The question is, can Curtis Sliwa do what has to be done over a period of time, sometimes years, which is develop a stronger public image,
right?
That he needs in order to drive a vote that gets you near 50%.
Yes, and the other factor being Mamdani, he is scaring a lot of people, and if that is at such a high level, and your other choices, Sliwa, who a lot of people like, maybe some people think he's eccentric, but he doesn't have. I bet you his negatives aren't nearly as high as Cuomo.
They probably have the negative somewhere in the poll.
Right. And we got to get more on this, because another question is what's this polling model show as the turnout? Because the other factor is, as we know, we talked about with Tony, is how low the turnout's been. If Sliwa can get a sudden surge, right? One factor would be money, a massive get out the vote campaign, not campaign, but a massive get out the vote operation funded by maybe some of these people that have been calling for him to get out. Could Sliwa be the one here in the closing days that can get those new people excited and out to vote to overtake Mamdani? Because these numbers are still concerning, right? Head to head, Mamdani just needs 1% of these undecided in both cases to get over the top. So what both Cuomo and Sliwa would need in this scenario is more voters, right? They would really need to.
The one who has the better opportunity of having a miracle happen would be Sliwa, because there's a ceiling on the Cuomo vote,
right?
Because people have known him for a long time, and there are people who have made up their minds about him, and some significant number of them in a negative way,
right?
So we know it would be really unlikely to see Cuomo, even in a different kind of race, do better than 52, 53,
right,
54.
Right.
Curtis, the sky's the limit because nobody knows who he is.
Right.
But that's the problem. There's to know who he is, it means know who he is really, really well, because they got to change their minds. And how's that happen?
Right. Right. And that's the thing. Like you said, it's going to take.
Not unless our audience goes up.
We got to get our audience. We got to somehow boost our audience in just New York City.
We just need 8 million people from New York City to listen to us.
Right.
Actually, that's it. 8 million.
But hey, again, we've been talking about this.
They should listen to me. They like me.
Yeah.
I was, whether I was, it's really a bipartisan mayor. All my legislation was passed by an overwhelming New York City council, even in New York State legislature. Although I did have the benefit of Governor Pataki, I had to deal with the same difficult legislature that he did.
Yeah.
So what I accomplished under a Democrat president, Bill Clinton, and it wasn't like Mondami. I'm not going to talk to him. I'm going to fight with him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to that. If I had said that about Clinton, they'd have thrown me out of office.
Right.
Because they're so prejudiced toward Democrats.
Right.
I had to work with Clinton, and I did, because it was my job, and I was good at it.
Right.
I'm good at my job. So
even Democrats say that about you.
What?
That you were very good at your job.
Yeah, I was good at my job. And I didn't. It was never. And my job was never like the press. I woke up in the morning and thought, I'm a Republican. I don't know how often I even thought about being a Republican when I was working. Sure, I would think about being a Republican on issues like, gosh, if we had more Republicans, we could have had choice in education.
Right.
These damn Democrats destroy kids.
Right. Right.
I mean, I have very, very strong feelings about the differences between the two parties, but I do realize that I have to work with them. I just consider what they do to children almost criminal.
I mean, and it's again, all
And
these,
now with the gender stuff, it really is criminal what they do to children.
and
I mean, really criminal. Really, 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 really criminal.
absolutely. And, you know, all these issues, is New York really going to elect someone who really goes beyond the pale of even these far left, the far left, what we thought was the goalpost for the far
I should
left.
hope not.
Right. And who can, and now are Cuomo voters and people that don't vote, are they more likely to come out for Sliwa, or will Sliwa's voters suck it up and go out for Cuomo? And I truly feel, as we've talked about, that Sliwa has a better shot because if it's anyone but Mamdani, right? Anyone but Mamdani, we say it. These Democrats that are already willing to vote for Cuomo over Mamdani,
But if Cuomo stays in the race and Sliwa stays in the race, right?
Yeah.
How does Sliwa climb over Cuomo and climb over the other guy?
We're gonna need having more voters than any model is predicting.
If you take him out, right?
That's Cuomo.
Then he can jump.
Yeah.
Now, if he's here, how does he get to 48 from here?
Well, the poll shows that he gets to 40 already if you just take Cuomo off head to head, it's 48.9 Mamdani and 40.6 for Sliwa.
But the poll shows, if that's accurate,
Yeah.
right, that if you take him out, he makes a nice jump, but not nearly enough to win. So then how's he going to make that jump when you don't take Cuomo out?
Oh, so you're saying now?
Yeah. I mean,
is.
If Cuomo's in, Sliwa can't win.
If Cuomo's in, how does Sliwa win in a three-way?
Yeah.
One, I would say stop attacking Cuomo. Hope that Cuomo on his own can eat into the Democrat numbers. So hopefully, let's say Cuomo can close that gap with Mamdani by just a couple of points, right? And then Sliwa will have to mobilize as many new voters across the city that are turned off by, obviously, Mamdani, not willing to vote for Cuomo, but you got to get them out there. And one thing that helps Curtis in this race, I'm a proud supporter of President Trump. I think he's the greatest president of my lifetime, not just my lifetime. He's top 5 all time.
Yeah.
However, the fact that Curtis isn't necessarily as aligned with the MAGA movement and President Trump as we are, that benefits Curtis in this scenario, right? Because I think Trump voters in New York understand why winning an election in New York, why Curtis may not be hugging the president, and Democrats that for whatever reason just despise Trump can still get behind Curtis, right? Because he doesn't represent the Republican Party.
If this stays this way, right? And he can go get up here. That'll be one of the biggest upsets in American political history.
Right. So
you know that?
So Mayor, here's how another way to pose this question. How does Cuomo in this situation go from 29 and get and overtake Mamdani? Doesn't he have more of a ceiling? Like he's known, he's been around, his family's name has been around. That's the number he's at with everything that we know about him.
I find this number got to be wrong. Every other poll has him in the high 30s, low 40s. There's something wrong here. This is a wrong number for Cuomo. The other poll, Cuomo was 41.
I believe in a head-to-head, though. The one that showed Cuomo
I see what you're saying.
one that shows Cuomo within 3 of Mamdani is a head-to-head.
Yeah, but even the three-way race that was based off
was
he was
closer.
he was down by about 15 points.
Okay, let me bring that up. But the question being, and you're right. I mean, Curtis has a much larger. There's a larger gap.
Well,
right
no,
now.
Cuomo. Most of the other polls had Cuomo at about 14. Had him about 14.
Right.
That isn't too far off. That isn't bad.
Right.
But most of the other polls had him at 35 or better.
Right.
And had him at about 44 in a three-way.
Right.
So he was beating him by about 9 to 12 points.
Yeah. So look, I guess the one
now he's beating him by 18. That's a lot.
Right. Yep. And the one we have,
It's hard to believe that he's beating him by 18 and he's been beaten up so badly in the last 3 weeks. It's really hard. I mean, none of that worked. All of that stuff that the New York Post had, and even the Daily News, about him being with the imam who basically supported the attack of 1993, said nice things about the attackers of 2001, who thinks that America is responsible for the attack of September 11, who hates America.
Right.
None of that took Mondami. Mondami went up in the face of all that. And then he had 2 debate performances. And whether you think Curtis or Cuomo won those, the guy who didn't win them was Mondami was the weakest of the 3 candidates.
Right.
And I mean, we thought that Curtis was probably the strongest of the 2. But if we were wrong, we weren't wrong, and Mondami won, then it would have been Cuomo.
Right.
In fact, particularly the second one, where they pretty much did a very good job of attacking Mondami, and they were most effective when they were a tag team.
Yep.
So I don't see how. I don't see how this guy didn't go down a little, even a little.
And right, and
people are finding out things about him they didn't know. And they like the fact that his father blamed the United States and Israel for the attack of September 11.
Right. And Mayor, and I'm not going to pretend to know New York City. Not like you. No one knows New York City like you, but I'm not going to pretend to know it like a lot of others who we talk to about this. So I don't know that this applies to the city.
Well, you know something,
but
you might be not so much at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know New York City, you can figure out what the hell's going on.
Right. That's it. Might be even better not to know some of the intricacies that'll jump on your head.
People who know New York City would have said to you a year ago, "Oh, this guy will flame out."
Right. They were saying that. They told Cuomo not to worry.
They were right based on his.
Yes. But the point being, conservatives, let's see how this polling was done. I feel that conservatives, and even in the Trump era, are a lot less likely to respond or even be honest with polling.
Yeah, and they don't even wear an afterthought in their polling.
And yes, they weigh who they poll, right? They poll a lot more. So
they don't even
these models could be way off. I think you're spot on.
What could help Cuomo? What could help Curtis a lot is an awful lot of conservatives could come out to vote way beyond the number that normally does.
Right. I mean, remember in 1993, in Mayor Giuliani's second race, 1.9 million New Yorkers voted. In 2021, with Eric Adams, 1.1 million. That's 800,000 voter difference. And now the issue isn't maybe the level of crime and what you were dealing with, but the issue is almost just as existential in a different way, right? Yeah. With the individual we're looking at electing.
And the polls go back and forth too. One poll, here's the weirdest thing. One poll that had the candidates closer, the major issue was affordability, which you would think would have Mondami ahead. I think this poll, if it's the same one I read, the other poll had crime as the major issue. So you would think with crime as the major issue, Mondami would do less well. But we have other subjects we have to cover.
Right.
The whole world is not about this. Well, maybe it is.
This is a big race.
The White House has ended its talks with Canada because Canada did something really cheap, and I really want to go punch that guy in the nose. I was on the Reagan Library for many years and helped Mrs. Reagan every way I could raise money, and gosh, it was some of the best years that I ever had because I got to know her really much better than I knew her in the White House and became a friend of hers. Well, Canada took a Ronald Reagan speech about tariffs and used it to criticize President Trump. Now, that speech was This was 40 years, 30 something, 40 years ago. And he talks about how bad tariffs are. And that's the only part you know what they don't tell you about that speech? It was a speech that he gave when he was imposing a tariff. And he was imposing a very high tariff on Japan. And he was imposing a very high tariff on Japan because Japan was trying to steal our businesses and imposing a very high tariff on us. What does that sound like? Who does that sound like? They leave that all out. So the board now has complained that the Canadian government lied in the way they edited the tape.
Yes. We'll play that. Let's see.
Yeah.
You want to play it?
Play it. Yeah.
You knew Reagan. You know how he talked.
I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong when he said it, and I started researching it, and then all of a sudden I got helped. I was trying to go back to get the original speech, and before I did, I see this thing, Reagan Library. I don't know if they may be suing. Thank God, boy, they're terrific. They're all the Reagan people.
All right.
Those are real Americans.
So this is the ad and we saw it, I think, watching a football game.
Yeah, and I thought it was bullshit.
And
when I saw it, I knew it was bullshit.
And at first I thought, oh, great, Reagan, this is awesome.
Reagan.
And then I didn't realize what they were doing with it, right?
Reagan was a practical guy like Trump.
Right. So here is this is the ad they've been playing on American television. Many of you may have seen it. They play it during football games and live events. Here we go.
Let's impose tariffs on foreign imports. It looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs.
You realize there's a big cut there, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes for a short while it works.
Now that we edit, we
But
don't.
only
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
short
Now
while.
we're experts.
But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
So what did they leave out of that? What they left out of it was, he is saying we should have no tariffs. It would be ideal world if we did, that people shouldn't be engaging in protectionism. But he's doing it as he imposes a protectionist measure to protect the United States. So he's saying, I don't want to do this. I'd rather if we all were fair and square, but we're not. So therefore, I'm banging Tokyo with a gigantic tariff. They leave that out because that's Trump's point. Trump is pro-tariff if you have one. Trump is pro-no tariff if you have none. Trump is pro a 10% tariff if you have a 10% tariff. They talk about, are you free trade? I don't think the word is free trade. Trade is never free. Trade has to be fair, right? If they can't be imposing 100% tariff on our cars, and we don't impose any tariff on their cars if we're going to make cars.
Yeah.
Unless we want to give up making cars, right?
Yep.
Which is what we did. We destroyed so many American jobs. It's a sin. And there are parts of America, I always knew this about Pennsylvania, where the second generation knows it. And that's how they voted for Trump. And that's how I knew they were going to vote for Trump. And this is just typical of what a communist, I mean, they are after Castro's illegitimate son was prime minister, they've gone from, bad to worse. And that guy comes and slinks around the Canadian prime minister.
Yeah.
Is he
Slinks around.
Is he trying to kiss Trump's ass now?
Right. That's
So Trump did a great job when he made the extraordinary admission and statement that he was getting a certain degree of veto power over what Israel was doing during those last couple of years when Biden was holding them back. And, behind Biden's back, they were kicking the living daylights out of the Iranian proxies. And he made a point that I think is a extraordinarily important point that is worth a massive investigation. And he says this is Trump. Maybe you can find it and we can play it. It's sort of funny when Democrats say, oh, well, we should get huge credit. We're talking about the peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
No, they shouldn't. It's the opposite. They went with Iran. We had to get that stench off. They went with Iran. They didn't go with the other side, which is a whole lot of nations. They placed all their money on Iran. They didn't just place their money on Iran. They gave our money to Iran. Extraordinary. Both Biden and Obama gave hundreds of millions, if not billions, to a terrorist country.
Right.
And so what you'd have right now, if they had their way, is that you'd have a nuclear weaponized at the highest level nuclear Iran, which they would have paid for.
Right.
So I think, somebody's got to examine what caused that, because there's a cancer there that has to be cut out of the body politic. In this case, they're part of the body politic. This, right. I get the communist part. I know where it comes from. I've seen it develop. And my God, if you're any kind of a student of European and American history over the last 150 years, you can find it real simple. But this one this is strange. Where does this tremendous empathy and sympathy come for Islamic extremist murderers who despise us? Well, do we like people that despise us? Did you see the Winklevoss twins are contributing to the White House?
I did see that.
The Winklevoss twins are the ones who claimed that Zuckerberg stole the whole thing from them.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But I guess they made a lot of money too, huh?
They seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a pretty penny to don't even.
So why the Democrats? Well, of course, no matter what, I think if the president gave everybody gave them $1 million rebate, including the Democrats would say that was terrible.
Yeah.
They take it though, but they say it was terrible how he did that.
Yeah.
Well, they always say if he if he cured cancer, they would say we shouldn't cure cancer. It's important that we keep cancer. Well, Hamas is pushing for a role in the post-war governance of Gaza. That is, of course, completely prohibited by the agreement that we reached with all of the other Arab countries. And I think this is another way in which they can avoid a peaceful agreement by putting in a poison pill. Because really, the Arab countries are going to depend on us and Israel to stay strong on that. Because they're like, well, we can't say anything.
Yeah.
We can't say anything because, I don't know, they'll overthrow us or something. But come on, guys, if you stand for anything, stand for Hamas. No Hamas, please. And please don't send any Palestinians to us. Man, we don't want to get like London.
No.
Jordan doesn't want to get like London. I mean, God almighty. I mean, you see what's happening in London, right?
Right. Carl.
Let's face it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. London appears to be gone. London has fallen. Well, should we take a quick break, pay the bills?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These deals
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. You know, it's always interesting when you read this, you read newspapers for years and years and years, and you don't expect yourself to be the unnamed person in this, but here's one that does get me angry, and I'm going to really try. To be very neutral about this. Top Biden administration officials personally signed off on an FBI investigation that would go on to target nearly 100 Republicans linked groups or entities, and may have even spied on members of Congress. Former Attorney General Merrick Garland, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, and FBI Director Christopher Wray, who all sound like criminals to me. Signatures all appear on an April 4, 2022 document authorizing the Bureau's Arctic frost probe. It seeks a full investigation and into an apparent effort to obstruct congressional certification of the election. And fraudulent certificates of electors were submitted to the Archivist of the United States. They were not fraudulent. These certificates did not assert that they were elected. These certificates were usable only if the state legislature or the courts had awarded the state to Donald J. Trump, and they followed 100% the precedent set by Nixon and by Kennedy in 1990, when they had some states in dispute until almost the last day of the year, December of 1960. December 30th or 31st of 1960. And since if you didn't have electors certified by like the 16th or 17th of December, even if you won, you would have gotten no votes. So these alternative electors were selected, and they would not have been put in the Electoral College unless that state had been awarded to Trump after a change by the court or by the responsible election officials. It was done in the open. It wasn't done in a hidden way. It was submitted openly. It was discussed openly. There was nothing fraudulent about it, and the damn thing has been dismissed in crooked Georgia. And somehow they can't dismiss it in crooked Arizona. But on April 4, 2022, they authorized the most crooked, dishonest, and most political Attorney General in the history of the United States, Garland, authorized the investigation of 100 of us. And they had been investigating me before, so I guess they just re-upped it. They went and took my AOL, they went and took my iCloud account the day or shortly thereafter when I became Trump's lawyer, which was really an indication of going after him. And then it morphed into an investigation of me, 20 years of my business activities, my law practice, both of which they ruined when they raided my office with, and they still have not given me my the affidavits. You see, in order to do that, they had to make out an affidavit to get my account and an affidavit to come into my apartment and an affidavit to go raid my law office. And the judge had to find probable cause that I committed a crime. I assume I saw that somebody signed it, a magistrate signed it, but I never saw the affidavit. Never given it to me. Even now, under the Trump administration, I can't get it. I have Christina Bobb as my lawyer seeking it. I have several lawyers ready to act on it. You know why? Because after they did all that investigating, and they picked a very strange word that helps me a lot. They wrote a letter to the grand jury saying, after all this investigating, they found no probable cause that Rudolph W. Giuliani committed a crime. Well, if they found no probable cause that I committed a crime, where was the probable cause to invade me? Well, maybe there was, and it disappeared. But I want to know how. Did the person lie? Did the person say that I did something wrong, and then it turned out I didn't? I'm not entitled to know that. I'm not entitled to damages for that. You sure did a lot of damage with it. You took away my law practice. You took away my security company. You subjected me to death threats. Not just me. 100 people on that list. I bet you did worse to some. But when are we going to get accountability for it? And if we don't, it'll sure as hell happen again. And this is nothing like what Trump is doing. Trump isn't treating their people the way they treated us. I don't think anybody's raided Comey's house. It looked like a pretty gentle search to me. I didn't see any dogs. I didn't see any SWAT troopers or guys dressed up with almost like bomb equipment and machine guns out so that the kids in the house don't bother you.
Right.
You can wipe them out. I mean, the kind of troops that they sent to Roger Stone was like if you were investigating the head of Hamas.
Right.
Like what, Roger Stone could have a shootout with them. But they didn't arrest Comey that way.
No, of course not.
Because we're Americans and we believe in the Constitution.
Right.
Sad. Now the question about these Tomahawk missiles is big, really big. Trump does not want to give Ukraine Tomahawk missiles
Right.
because I think he's afraid that it'll escalate too far. Many feel that he should, and I am probably a little more inclined that way than the other way, that he should.
Right.
But I do see the wisdom of not doing it as well. And I also am aware of the following, and this is, I hate to say this, probably true, but these are areas that don't have neat little answers. But probably Russia is going to cave more through oil deprivation than through military defeats. They can sustain the laws of lots of people because they don't care about people. When this war is over and you study it, you will find out that they just wasted probably half of the casualties that the Russians have, which are like 4 times the Ukrainians, are due to their reckless use of their own Russian lives. In the battle for the drone fortress in Donbass, there's a description, oh gosh, it was in a magazine a couple of days ago, of how they just throw, 30 Russians come up on a bike and the drones just take out all of them, then another 30, and they make no progress. And when the North Koreans were there, they were actually shooting the wrong people.
Yeah. Right. They didn't. Oh, I got to get your.
Yeah. They didn't know what they were shooting at. I mean, think of it now. You come from a country and you only had one television station. Suppose all your life, all you watch was Mr. Rogers. That's it. And Mr. Rogers was a red North Korean who taught you about how everybody should share the same property, and you didn't have to have a mother and a father because they weren't any good anyway. And God was just a figment of people's imagination. Mr. Rogers would come in, happy morning, happy morning. Oh, I know in the West they say prayers to that phony God, but there's no God. We know that. We know Karl Marx is God, or the great Mao. Mao swam the Yangtze River for 45 miles today. And then all the children go, oh, we want to be like Chairman Mao. We want to be like Chairman Mao. We want to be able to kill lots of Chinese people like Chairman Mao did. Chairman Mao. Why do we not teach our young people the truth about communism and socialism? Why don't we teach them that there isn't benign socialism? It always morphs into communism, and it always ends up in great violence because it is based on a fundamentally unsound and extraordinarily dangerous position. And it ends up creating and leaving in society enormous numbers of dependent people because it has to function that way, because they're people that can be pushed around and taught to do the bidding of the government anytime, anywhere. Intelligent, creative people do not do that. It's the reason why China has to steal its technology. It's the reason why Russia invents Ugata. Why do they have an atomic bomb? Because they stole it from us. Why do they have whatever China has? Because they stole it from us. They are non-creative people. Not any rap on them, a rap on their system. Their system is a repetitive brainwashing system, not a system to teach creative and to teach critical thinking. It's critical thinking and creative thinking and courageous thinking and challenging thinking that creates all the great miracle changes in the world, many of which have military applications. And we have, because we've allowed ourselves to be vulnerable, given away a great advantage there because we have that advantage. And we can still use that advantage if we close the gap now and we don't give them anything until they straighten out. So, question is, Which is more important? Depriving them of oil, or depriving Russia of the ability to sell their oil, or giving the Ukrainians 50 Tomahawks so they can go bomb around Moscow? I'm absolutely convinced, even though I'm a Tomahawk fan, but I do believe you have to change the name, because it'll be like the Guardians and the Commanders. It'll be an insult to our indigenous people. I don't want to do any more insults to our indigenous people, because I don't want to take Columbus away from me. I'm going to be Columbus I mean, I never give away the secret of who I'm going to play on Halloween, but this year, Cristoforo Columbus.
Right.
That's who I'm going to be, because of his unbelievable courage. I don't know. I think it's the most purity of heart is probably the most important and the most unusual human virtue, if that's a human virtue. I guess it is. But courage is often like honesty and whatever. It's often loyalty, and you know how much I value loyalty, but I value courage above everything else. And when I see displays of courage, I'm in awe, because I know it's always such a test. And if you think you passed it once, it's not true. Extraordinarily courageous people can, challenged again, fold. It's a very, very strange virtue that God gave us. And maybe I value it more than I should, but I really feel much more comfortable being surrounded by courageous people. And I also think they're much more better critical thinkers. And I think they're much better people, because courageous people have the courage to help other people. You know, like those miserable excuses for a human being who sat there in Georgia when that poor girl was being stabbed, her head was being cut off, and did nothing. Just listened to their transistor radios or whatever, their phones or whatever the hell it was. They didn't interfere. Okay, they didn't have the guts to interfere, but the guy goes away. They don't go help her. She bleeds out. As opposed to Daniel Penny.
Right. That's exactly.
Now Trump is getting hit by the pro-Ukrainian people, but he's not using Tomahawks. However, they should look a little below the surface, please. This guy operates on so many levels. You know what you have to have? You have to have these like progressive lenses like I have. You have to get like a magnifying glass. And so it's this much, this much, this much, this much, this much. And then down here, you see what he's really trying to do. Watch what he's doing. He's got everybody going off on the tomahawks and tomahawks. However, the sanctions against Russia's two top energy companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, show the White House is starting to impose hefty punishments. Two biggest companies, they have sanctions on the two smaller companies.
Right.
There ain't no more companies left. So now every Russian oil company, gas company will be sanctioned, and it can't do business. Okay. The European Union, which he has schmoozed along, right, is now 100% behind that. It dropped completely. It completely went along with the snapback provision. So all the sanctions are in place that were in place before the stupid agreement over nuclear arms. It includes a complete ban on Russian liquefied natural gas. Europe is not going to use any Russian liquefied natural gas. By the way, we got plenty to give them. And Ukraine's got a great operation of unused storage facilities. If you can get American or and there's plenty of liquefied natural gas around Europe. You have it all over the Middle East. Some people think there's more liquefied natural gas off the shore of Qatar than any place else on earth. There are others who think there's more in the United States than any place else on earth. There's sure plenty in the stands in Kazakhstan, places like that. And of course, there's plenty here. If you could solve the shipping problem, or do a tag team, so ship it to Britain and let Britain ship what let America take care of, because it'll keep it even cheaper the closer, and then move it out more toward the east. We don't need Russia, and eventually we're not going to need China for the rare earths either. And we're closer to that than you think. You know, so I think, if I may have a little, because we're getting near the weekend, and we're getting near Sunday, where I think about something from the Bible, particularly when there'll be a gospel and a reading from the Old Testament. But I'm thinking that when Bibi Netanyahu blew up all their little things, like Ted's got his phone on there, all their little, here they were, hello Ayatollah, and the Ayatollah picked his up. This is the Ayatollah. The Jews did that. The Jews did that. Yeah, you just pray to kill them every week. What do you think they're going to do to you? Send you a Valentine's gift?
Right.
Man, that was great. So Trump said he knew about that
Ahead of time.
and thought it was fabulous.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was fabulous.
And that was one of a kind.
I think even the Vatican thought it was fabulous. I was at the Vatican around the time, and they were all so impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the Pope, but the priests and the cardinals and wow. I mean, I think that may have changed the whole thing when Bibi did that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Here's the Ayatollah. Here's his little thingy here. Mr. Ayatollah, who should we kill today? On the list today to kill.
I mean, they got hundreds of them.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it didn't just do that. It took the heads off when it did it.
Right.
Did you see the president's comment on Venezuela?
I did not.
Where
Try to find it.
where he about declaration of war?
No.
Can you see if you can
Yeah,
find it?
we'll try to find
I want you to do the end of it where they ask him, is he going to get a declaration of war for Venezuela because he wants to take out the boats? He may even want to land and take out the drug dealers. Now, this is really domestic law enforcement to a very, very large extent. So I don't see why you need a declaration of war. We use a declaration of war if we're going to be in a 3, 4, 5 year war. This is going to be over in like a day or two. So but just listen to his comment.
Which can just a sec. I got to find it.
Yeah, but Morales is going to be out of there. I would have been willing to bet on it if I wasn't sure that somebody would fix the over under.
Yeah. I'm still looking for this. Was from yesterday?
Either yesterday or today.
Okay. So we'll find that. Of course, the U.S. has been hitting drug boats. I mean, we've hit a good number, and that's just the publicly known.
The public number is 7. The other number is more like about 20. And we may have also, we may have breached their territory. We may have breached the Venezuelan territory. Poor little commies. Oh, poor babies.
So this is President Trump. This is yesterday when he's being asked about war with Venezuela.
To approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay, we're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay.
I mean, he's sending a very clear message. It doesn't get any clearer than that.
I have to tell you, I know drug dealers really well. A period of time, I probably knew them better than my relatives. That's the best message you could give him. And the way he did it so nonchalantly.
Can I say something there? I don't. He reminded me of you in that moment. That's that sentence.
Maybe
was
he
like,
borrowed that from me
reminded
when I
of-
was 35 years old, because I used to say stuff like that.
That made, I don't know what, like we see him a lot and talk to him a lot, but that for some reason, let's play that again, folks. And maybe I'm off on this,
I
but
go back to when it sounds something
for whatever reason, that's just, I feel that's how you would talk.
I never agree on these things, but I think I might agree on this one.
Yeah. And it just hit me as I'm
I
watching.
know
this.
I've said something like that.
Against these cartels, and Congress is likely to approve of that process. Why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead. Okay? Yeah.
And Mr.
I love it. It's so clear.
First of all, it's true. He's going to do it. And number two, he's backing it up, and he will have to kill fewer people because they can't stand up to this. They're not. Venezuela has had a complete brain drain. People in Venezuela have been leaving since Chavez. Did you see Smartmatic got indicted for playing around with Venezuela?
Yeah.
And fixing votes. Are they still suing me?
I believe that's.
And they're suing Mike Lindell.
Well, I thought they dropped it, but let's see.
I can't remember if they're still suing me.
I think they dropped it.
I know one of the things they complained about was one of the things I was told, and therefore repeated it as Trump's lawyer, was that a whole group of them, Smartmatic and Dominion and a couple of other companies, had gone down to Venezuela to fix an election. I might have to take a close look at this, but I could put that on my list that Trump is keeping of Rudy. Rudy was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they crucified me for that Venezuela thing. I think that's part of what got me banned at. I think that's what part of what got me banned at Fox. They got all nervous about the 2020 election, and then all their people started saying they really didn't believe that the president had won, and they believed it as strongly, if not more strongly, than I did. But they didn't have the same degree of courage that I have, which is to not lie. And because their jobs were at stake. So was mine. And I don't know. They make a lot of money. I never made a lot of money in my life. I was making a lot of money. I mean, $6 million from just one law firm.
Right.
My speaking fees in 1 year would be $4 or $5 million, and then my security company, where I would reinvest most of the profit so we could grow and make sure that all my partners did well. I probably made another $3 or $4 million from that. They destroyed all that. You see me crying? No. I don't think it's fair that they did that. I think they should pay it all back to me. But it's money. It's only money. You know what they didn't get? They didn't get my soul. It still belongs to me, God. When I come up there, you're going to find a lot of things wrong with my soul. But one thing you're going to find is it was always mine. What I did right, you're going to have to give me credit for. The things I did wrong, may have to burn a little. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think for long, but who knows? I'm going to argue the best case for myself possible. If you're allowed to represent yourself in heaven, I don't know. If not, I think I can't imagine in heaven you have to do like a retainer agreement and pay the lawyer $1 million or something like that, right? They would do. You probably get a lawyer for nothing, right?
Right. Did you've told the lawyer joke, right? With the priest and the lawyers going in.
If we say we're finishing now because we want him to go to Dr. Maria, we'll finish with that. I just got a couple of little things here. Some good news here. China and India are starting to buy into cutting off buying oil from Russia. The president must be doing a hell of a job on India. They've cut it down. They've cut it about half. So I can't imagine the pressure on the Russian economy with the new sanctions with Europe. Yeah. China and India makes up the difference. They also take advantage of it and buy it for pennies. So yes, they're selling it. They're selling a good percentage of their oil, but in some ways they're selling it so cheap they may be giving away their patrimony. I mean, they may be giving away the future.
Right.
You know, at this price, there'd be like an inclination to hold your oil back. It also looks like Bibi and Trump are playing again the little good guy bad guy thing. According to this article, the U.S. quietly allowed Ukraine to use American intelligence to strike targets inside Russia with British long-range missiles. The Storm Shadow cruise missile slammed into Russian explosives and rocket fuel plants Tuesday in the Bryansk region, which borders both Ukraine and Belarus. And the strike blew through Moscow's vaunted air defenses, which presented no defense. Now these are nothing compared, of course, to the Tomahawks, but they don't have a lot of oil to spare. So what Ukraine is doing, similar to what Israel did to Iran, is focusing on their arms, on their military supplies, and on their oil supply. And what is Putin doing? He's trying to kill their kids.
Right. Right.
And also,
Sick.
in a strange change, the authority has been changed for cross-border strikes. You have to get authority for cross-border strikes, I guess, from Pete Hegseth to Air Force General Alexis Grinkowicz, who's the America and NATO's top commander in Europe. Well, I can't imagine this is any lack of confidence in Pete. Pete is doing such a great job. I think this is probably done by Pete. You know what that means? They want to do it faster. It means it means they just a little interpretation there. This means they missed a couple of opportunities because of bureaucracy, and they put when you put it in the field commander's discretion, you're going to have more of them. And the reason you're putting it in the field commander's discretion is because you want it to happen faster.
Right.
Cut down the bureaucracy. That means more attacks, not less. So no matter what else he's saying to bullshit Putin, we bombed, or Ukraine bombed with English equipment and American intelligence, an enormously significant oil region of Russia, which is going to make the winter really hard in St. Petersburg. I wouldn't go there for the winter. They're not even gonna have wood to burn in the fire, unless they want to make peace. Then they can have everything they want. Right. Putting the oil squeeze on Putin, even the Wall Street Journal says a trigger for the oil sanctions may have been a phone call this week in which Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told Secretary of State Marco Rubio that Russia still wants all of Donetsk in Ukraine, a non-starter with Kyiv. Mr. Trump later canceled plans to meet with Mr. Putin in Budapest.
Right.
Good. The new economic pressure on Russia is welcome. Mr. Trump has wavered between wooing and lamenting Mr. Putin. Mr. Trump might look up the road to Congress, where a majority wants to impose more serious penalties on Russia. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, looks like you missed the news that he actually did it. So how about we write an article, we throw this one away, and we say, he did it. Right. Cornell student paper has a whole section castigating Jews. How many Jewish students graduated from Cornell? Cornell's student newspaper sparked furious backlash after it published a professor's incendiary artwork depicting a bloodied Star of David and Nazi SS symbol scrawled on the back of a Palestinian person.
Right.
There's another Ivy League school that's
Right,
not worth the paper it's written on. Don't go to Cornell.
Do we have to update our list?
Yeah,
Cornell. We might have to make a ride up to Cornell for some investigations.
Yeah, such a nice part of New York. You're smelling it up, Cornell.
Come on.
And you can't play football.
You know what? I did know they had a football team.
They have a football team.
They do have a football
but it's not
team.
really a football team.
Right. Who do they play?
I think Andrew St. Joseph's High School could beat the shit out of them. And certainly Bergen Catholic.
Right, bro.
Mondami's insane position. Somebody wrote a little thing here on his insane positions.
These guys.
Let's just give it just one. Let's just see what we got here. He wants to freeze the rent of the city's 1 million rent stabilized apartments so they can be further ruined because they would ruin any incentive that owners have to invest in maintenance. He wants free bus rides for all. That would just cost another $700 million that we don't have, even though we're kind of off our budget by $10 billion. Another 700. What would $700 million matter? He wants the city to own and run grocery stores and provide a lot of the food for free or very, very low prices. Where does the money come from?
Right. Ooh, now you're asking.
Where does the money come from, Mandami? Can I talk to my father, the Islamic extremist? He wants to raise the city and state's already astronomical income tax rate of 14.8 to 16.8, which would mean that everybody in New York was giving more than half of their salary to the government, which means they were junior partners in their wages. And the government was the senior partner in their wages. And Mondami, with a flash, makes it a communist country, right?
Yeah.
If your country has more of an entitlement to what you earn than you do, haven't you become a socialist communist country? Isn't that what it's all about? But it's not just be that. If you have a corporation, your tax is going to go from 7.25% to 11.5%. You think the 4 corporations that are actually considering remaining in New York, that's it, are going to stay? And they're all going to try to get out quickly because they don't want to be the ones to put out the lights. This would raise the combined city and state corporate rate above an astounding 21%. All of this would crash into economic and fiscal reality. About 1% of New York taxpayers pay 40% of the city's income tax. 1%. So you lose 2-3 of those 1%. You're crashing things, babes.
Right.
And who do you think is going to leave? That 1% is going to leave. In 2020, he called the NYPD wicked and corrupt, and he now wants to shift money from policing to a new Department of Community Safety. They're going to show up at the domestic violence incidents where men are beating the living daylights out of their girlfriend and wives and children. And the little social workers are going to show up and say, oh, please stop. Use your words. And the cops are going to have to come and drag the social workers off the floor.
Right.
And they're going to go climb up on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. In 2020, when he called them wicked and corrupt, they took $1 billion from them, never put it back. He, one of the people who took the $1 billion from him. What he wants to do actually is take another $1 billion, because you see that money for those social workers are going to go climbing up bridges and going into shooting scenes. You can take that money out of the police department. So instead of 31,000 cops, we're going to have 29,000 cops and 2,000 social workers stopping crime by talking to people.
Yeah.
He is going to change every policy that Ms. Titch has employed or that made the city so much safer under Rudy Giuliani and Mike Bloomberg, says the Post. He opposes charter schools, which makes him a traitor to African-American and Latino people. He would give up control of the schools. Why would a mayor who had confidence in his ability to manage want to give up control?
Yeah.
I mean, every Democratic mayor before me wanted control.
Yeah.
I advanced it and Bloomberg got it.
That's right.
Why? I mean, if you had confidence in your ability to fix the schools, but you don't want to fix the schools. The schools are a big giveaway program to the Communist Teachers Union.
Doesn't make any sense.
His statement on the recent Gaza peace deal was, our tax dollars have funded a genocide by Israel. So just remind yourself that that's what you got going for you, and there's going to be plenty on it, and we're going to have plenty more on it I'm sure over the weekend. It's going to be crazy. Maybe there'll be a whole new perspective on it by Monday.
By Monday, right?
I'm hoping. I want to see a way to victory here, and I'm going to work. I'm going to do what I can to get us there. So pray. Weekend coming up. Go to church. If you're Jewish, you're probably not even listening to us now. You'll probably listen to us later, tomorrow or Sunday, because we get a lot of people on Sunday that listen to us. So I think it might be Jewish people who observe. So we pray for the people of Israel, and we pray for the people of Ukraine, whose lives are on the line. We pray for the people of Iran, whose lives have been taken away. And we pray for our people, because there's a lot more violence here than ever before, dear God. And there are answers to this. Please give the president the power and the ability and the wisdom to figure out how we can get those answers legislated. And part of dealing with mental health, it's also a much more humane way to deal with it. The Democrats are throwing their lives away, throwing the lives of these people away. Homeless people dying on the street. Oh, who cares? Crazy people walking around thinking they're men and they're really women, or women and they're really men, or thinking they're George Washington, or thinking that they have to kill somebody. They should be in hospitals, God, right? Isn't that what you do if it was a person you love? Because they don't love these people. We do. People, those of us who pray to you, we love these people. We want a loving solution for them. So there are lots of things to pray for, and you have your own. But the important thing is, take one of those 2 days, depending on your religion, and stop. Stop. And think about God for a bit. He's been left out. He's been left out of our solution for too darn long. Can't leave God out of a solution for America. He created it. Just go read our founding fathers. That's not Rudy Giuliani. That's all of them that signed the Declaration of Independence. Rights came from. So we're on X. We're on YouTube. We're on
Rumble.
We're on
Facebook. Instagram. Newsmax 2. And we might have some new announcements, but we'll see.
Okay, and we're all and we're on. I guess we're not on Truth Social, but can you be on Truth Social? We got to find that out.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
We'd love to be on Truth Social, because maybe we could talk directly to him
through Truth Social.
He uses it a lot.
He does. He's big. He's big with that.
God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.